It's time to relax and get cozy, fall asleep, or maybe just have a little rest. I'm going to read to you from Dorothy Edwards, My Naughty Little Sister, A Treasury Collection. Is illustrated by Shirley Hughes. There aren't too many illustrations, but I will definitely put the few that there are up. And I'm going to read to you the story, My Naughty Little Sister's Toys. Before we get to the story, we're going to settle ourselves, quiet our minds, starting with deep breathing. Together, let's take a deep breath in and out. Now stretch or wiggle your fingers and toes, getting a little last movement and settling in. If you need to stretch out your shoulders or neck muscles, slowly do that now, always being gentle with yourself. And if you feel like it, you can just wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a little hug. You deserve a beautiful night's sleep. It's time to rest. My Naughty Little Sister's Toys. Long ago, when my sister and I were little girls, we had a cousin called George who used to like making things with wood. He made trays and boxes and things with holes in to hang on the wall for pipes. And when he had made them, he gave them away as presents. George made me a chair for my teddy bear and a nice little bookcase for my storybooks. Then George thought he would like to make something for my little sister. Now that wasn't at all easy because my sister was still a very little child. She went out in a pram sometimes. She could walk a bit, but when she was in a great hurry, she liked crawling better. She could say words though. My sister had a very smart red pram. She liked her pram very much. She was always pleased when our mother took her out in it. She learned to say, "Pram, pram, pram," when she saw it, and "wide, wide, ride," to show that she wanted to go out. Well, now, kind Cousin George was sorry to think that my sister liked crawling better than walking, so he said, "I know. I will make her a little wooden horse on wheels so she can push herself along with it." And that is just what he did. He made a strong little wooden horse with a long wavy tail and a smiley tooth face that he painted himself. He painted the horse white with black spots. Then he put strong red wheels on it and a strong red handle. It was a lovely pushing horse. I said, "Oh, isn't it lovely?" And I pushed it up and down to show my sister. "Look, baby, Gigi," I said. My sister laughed. She was so glad to have the wooden horse. She stood up on her fat little legs and got hold of the strong red handle, and she pushed too. And when the horse ran away on his red wheels, my sister walked after him, holding on to the red handle. And she walked and walked. Clever Cousin George. Mother said, "That's a Horse, dear. Say, thank you, Cousin George, for the nice horse. And she lifted my sister up so that she could give him a nice thank you hug, because of course, that was the way my sister thanked people in those days. Then Mother said, horse, 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 so that my sister could learn the new word, and she patted the wooden horse when she said it. But my sister didn't say horse at all. She patted the wooden horse too, but she said pram, pram, pram. And she picked up her tiny teddy bear and she laid him on the pushing horse's back. And she picked up my doll's cot blanket and covered Teddy up with it. And she pushed the horse up and down and said, pram. When George came to see us again, he was surprised to find that my funny little sister had made the horse into a pram. But he said, well, anyway, she can walk now. And so she could. She had stopped crawling. Because George liked my little sister, he made her another nice thing. He made her a pretty little doll's house just big enough for her to play with. It had a room upstairs and a room downstairs, and there were some pretty little chairs and a table and a bed in it that he had made himself. When my sister saw this doll's house, she smiled and smiled. When she opened the front of the doll's house and saw the things inside, she smiled a lot more. She took all the chairs and things out of the doll's house and laid them on the floor, and she began to play with it at once, but she didn't play houses with it at all. Because there was a room upstairs and a room downstairs and a front that opened, she said it was an oven. She pretended to light a light inside it, just as she had seen our mother do when she was cooking the dinner, and she said, oven, oven. She called the chairs and table and the bed dinner, and she put them back into the doll's house again and pretended they were cooking while she took Tiny Teddy for a ride on the pushing horse pram. She played and played with her doll's house oven and her pushing horse pram. Our cousin George said, what an extraordinary child you are. Then he laughed. That gives me an idea, he said. And when he went away, he was smiling to himself. The next time George came, he was still smiling. And when my sister saw what he had made, she smiled too. This time she knew what it was. George had made a lovely wooden pretending stove with 2 ovens and a pretending fire and a real tin chimney. We don't have stoves like these nowadays, but some people still did when I was young. There was one in our granny's house. My sister said, Gran oven, at once. I gave my little sister a toy saucepan and kettle from my toy box, and Mother gave her 2 little patty tins. George said, you can cook on the top and in the ovens just like Granny does. And that was just what my sister did do. She cooked pretending dinners on the wooden stove all day long, and Cousin George was very pleased to think she was playing in the right way with something he had made for her. But that isn't the end of the story. Oh no. One day my naughty little sister's bad friend Harry came to visit us with his mother. He was only a little baby boy then, but he liked playing with my sister even in those days. When my sister saw Harry, she said, "Boy, boy, play oven." She wanted Harry to cook dinners too. Bad Harry looked at the wooden stove and the real tin chimney and the pretending fire, and he said, "Injun, puff, puff." Then Harry pretended to put coal into the little fireplace. He opened the oven doors and banged them shut again, just like the man who helped the engine driver did. And he made chuff, chuff, chuffy train noises. Harry had been with his father to see the trains, and he knew just the right noises to make and the right things to do. My sister didn't know anything about trains then, but it was such a lovely game that she made all the noises Harry made and said, "Engine," too. After that, she and Harry had lots of lovely games playing engines with the little wooden stove. When Cousin George heard about this, he said, "Pram horses and oven dolls' houses, and now engine stoves." He said, "It's no good. When that child is a bigger girl, I shall just give her some wood and some nails and let her make her own toys." I think he must have forgotten that he said this, because he never did give her any wood and nails. I wonder what she would have made if he had. I hope that by now you've drifted off to sleep. But if you haven't, I want you to take some slow, deep breaths and imagine what you would make if you had some wood and nails